Good afternoon, all. Yesterday, we have started our discussion on this data structures, and we have completed the discussion on abstract data type. Right? So, an abstract data type is a logical implementation or logical description of the data and the operation that we can perform on the data. We have seen some important points regarding this ADT with an example on online shopping system. Right. So, after that, we have gone through the discussion of what a data structure is. A data structure is a physical implementation of an ADT, right? So whenever you want to implement the ADT, then you have to write the code for each and every operation, and every operation can be implemented using functions. Functions are similar to that of routines, and we can call them as procedures also. So while you use the C programming language for implementing the operations, then we will call it as functions, right? In some other programming languages, we call them as routines, and in some other programming language, we call them as procedures. So as a simple definition, when we want to define the data structure, we can define them as a data structure refers to organization of data in the main memory. So it says how we are going to organize the data in the main memory, how we are going to insert the data in the main memory, how we are going to remove the data, and how we are going to access the data in the main memory. All these operations constitute the organization of data, right? So if you are going to organize the data in the main memory, we will do it through data structure, right? Similarly, there is a similar term for organizing data in the secondary memory that is called as file structures. We are not concerned about the file structures right now. We are confined only to the data structures definition, right? So this is the definition of data structure. Can you hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Right. In today's class, we will discuss the classification of data structures, which is one of the important concepts of data structures. We know the definition of data structure. Now we'll go into the classification of data structure. The data structures are broadly classified into two types. One is the linear data structure, and another one is called as non-linear data structure. Right. So the name itself is giving some information regarding this linear data structure. Linearity. Linearity means sequentiality or sequential. So what do you mean by sequential? Whenever you do something in a one by one after the other thing, one after the other, then it is called as linear. And if you don't follow that sequential fashion, that comes under the category of non-linear. Now, why we are applying this linearity or the linear term to this data structures means whatever operations you perform on these data structures, if they follow the linear fashion, that means if they follow the sequential order, then we call those type of data structures as linear data structures. And if the operations does not follow the sequentiality or the sequential order, then those type of data structures are called as non-linear data structures. So we have only two categories of data structures. One is the linear and second one is the non-linear. Linear means sequential. So the operations that we perform on the data structures, if they follow the sequential order, then we call it as linear data structures. And if they don't follow the sequential order, we call it as non-linear data structures. Right. So what are the operations? We know what linear data structures are and what non-linear data structures are. But I'm saying that whenever data structures follow the sequential order in their operations, then we call it as linear data structures. Let us know what these operations are, right? So there are basically two major operations. One is insertion. Not only two, but majorly we will define these operations for any data structure, right? So one is the insertion operation and second one is the deletion operation. Right? Insertion, as you know that the name itself is giving some information saying that whenever you want to insert the data, that operation is called as insertion. And whenever you remove the data from the data structure, it is called as a deletion operation. So any data structure we discussed in our data structure syllabus, two major operations we will be considering. One is the insertion operation, where we will insert the data into the data structure, and the second one is the deletion of data from the data structure, where we will remove the data from the data structure. Right. So apart from this insertion and deletion, we also have some more operations. It depends on the data structure we are using, right? But basically, we will also consider another basic operation as fetch operation, right? Right. So setting means the name itself is giving is throwing some light that whenever you want to find an element in a data structure, we will perform a search operation, right? So basically, we have only two operations: insertions and deletions. So any data structure we define in the data structures subject, we will be discussing the data structures in terms of insertion and deletion, right? Other than that, we can also perform the search operation. Other than that, we can also perform some operations like finding the maximum element, finding the minimum element, or traversing. So there are a lot of different operations we have in the data structure that are supported by the data structures. But majorly we will consider the insertion and deletion operations. Other than this, we can also consider the search operation. Right? Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So insertion means inserting an element. Deletion means deleting an element. And similarly, we have another operation called as accessing the elements. Right. Other term we can call it as traversing. Right. So these are all the new terminology you will be coming across in this data structure subject. You should keep it in mind. All these operations. Right. All these new terminology should be kept in mind. Right. So coming to the definition of the linear data structure, as I have discussed, in linear data structure, the elements are stored in the sequential order. Storing is nothing but insertion. So whenever you insert the elements in the sequential order, they come under the category of linear data structure. When you delete the element from the data structure, if you perform the deletion operation in a sequential order, then it is comes under the linear data structure. Similarly, accessing the elements, that is nothing but traversing the data elements sequentially, in which only one data element can directly be reached. So whenever you perform the operations, what operations you can perform? The insertion, deletion, and accessing. Whenever you consider these three operations, insertion, deletion, and accessing, if they are done in the sequential fashion, that particular data structure is considered to be a linear data structure, right? And if insertion, deletion, and accessing the elements are not done in the sequential fashion, then we call them as, or we categorize them as non-linear data structure, right? So this is the definition of linear and non-linear, and let us go with some examples of linear data structure and non-linear data structure. The primary example that we can give for this linear data structure is arrays. This concept we have gone through in the C programming language, right? We have seen in-depth, we have some in-depth knowledge on this arrays concept. By definition, an array is a collection of elements of same data type that are stored in the consecutive memory location. So how we are storing it? That means how you are inserting the elements. You are inserting the elements in the consecutive memory location, that is in a sequential fashion. And similarly, you will be accessing the elements one after the other, right? You will use a for loop for I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus. So whenever you access the elements of the array, you will be accessing in a sequential fashion, that is one after the other. Whenever you want to now it is clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So whenever you want to delete the elements from the arrays, that will be done in the sequential fashion. So the insertion, deletion, and accessing is done in a sequential fashion in case of arrays. Therefore, arrays are considered to be an example of linear data structures. Right. Now coming to the second example of linear data structures. The linked list can be given as an example of linear data structure. Right. We'll see what linked lists are in the coming classes. Don't worry about it. So linked lists are nothing but collection of data items, or we can also call them as nodes.
Okay.
Nodes. Right. So a linked list is nothing but a collection of nodes. Those are also of same data type, right? But here one point we'll discuss it in the clearly when we go through this linked list concept. That storage point of view, the linked list does not comes under the linear data structure. But accessing point of view, they come under the category of linear data structure. I'm repeating once again. Please concentrate and listen carefully. So linked list, even though we are categorizing the linked list as an example of linear data structure, but we have some ambiguity in this. Linked list neither be considered as the linear data structure nor non-linear data structure. The reason is, whenever we store the elements of the linked list, they are not stored one after the other. They are not stored in a sequential fashion. Right? They will be occupying, one node will be occupying an address of 100. One node will be, another node will be occupying an address of some 500. The third node will be occupying an address of 200. There is no sequentiality in storing the nodes, right? But whenever you access the elements, after first node, you will be accessing the second node. After second node, you will be accessing the third node. Then fourth, fifth, like that, you will follow the sequential order whenever you retrieve the data, right? But whenever you store the data, you are not going to store it in the sequential fashion. That is the reason why there are some ambiguities for considering this linked list as a linear data structure, right? But don't worry, if somebody asks you how can we categorize, under what category we can put these linked list, means you can blindly say that they come under the category of linear data structures only, no doubt, right? But we will discuss these concepts, why, how this storage is not done in the sequential fashion, but how the accessing is done in the sequential fashion. All these things we will discuss in the concept of linked list, right? And the next example which we can give it for the linear data structure is a stack. This is very important concept, and listen carefully, students, that linked list is a very important concept, and most of the topmost companies, most of the companies, when they recruit candidates for their companies, they question most, they give questions mostly related to linked list only, right? So that is the importance of this linked list, right? So if you become familiar with this linked list programming, then damn sure you can get some you are guaranteed to be recruited in a topmost company. That is the importance of linked list, right? Even the data structure subject itself is very important. I might have discussed in the classroom itself that some of the top companies, they will exclusively put the interview rounds related to data structure, right? So if the recruitment process includes around 5 to 6 rounds, almost 2 to 3 rounds, they will put exclusive interviews on data structure. That is the importance of the data structure subject. So please concentrate and you try to practice more and more on this data structures programming, right? I will be dealing with the theoretical part, but theory is important only, but programming is most important than the theoretical part, right? You will get theory everywhere, but programming should be developed inside your mind only, right? You should write your own logic. Logic should be built on your work. That comes only when you practice more and more programs, right? So that is the importance of data structures, and that is the importance of linked list. Similarly, we have another concept, a very basic concept, very easy concept also, right? Another example is stacks. So a stack is also called as last in first out. This is another terminology, right? in acronym is it is LIFO. LIFO stands for, it is an acronym for last in first out, right? So we'll see all these things, why it is called as last in first out, and it is also called as philo also. Philo, what do you mean by philo? First in last out, right? But we are accustomed, or we are more practiced towards this term only, LIFO. So if somebody says to what is LIFO, we can simply say that stacks are also called as LIFO data structures. LIFO stands for last in first out, right? We'll see why it is called as last in first out, but right now we'll just go through the definition of the stack only, right? So a stack is a linear data structure in which the insertion and deletion takes place at only one end, which is called as the top of the stack. Right now you just mug up the definition, but once you enter into the topic, we'll discuss why in depth of this particular stack concept, right? So a stack is a linear data structure where insertions and deletions takes place only at one end. That end is called as the top of the stack. Is it clear? And what is the other name for the stack? The other name for the stack is LIFO. LIFO stands for last in first out, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So another example of linear data structure is queues. Queue, right? This particular term we are very familiar in our daily life also. So whenever you go to buy a ticket in the movie theater, or whenever you go to the railway station, you will be forming a line which we call it as queue, right? So the queue is also considered to be a category of linear data structure, and the definition goes like this: a queue is a linear data structure where insertions will be done at one end and deletions will be done at the other end, right? So when we go to the movie theater and you stand in a queue, right, where a new element will be inserted, that means where a new candidate will go and insert himself, either at the front, whether at the front, last, right? So the insertions always takes place at the last position, right? Otherwise we can also call it as rear end. Similarly, when you buy the ticket, you will be removed from the queue from the front, right? So that is called as deletion operation. So the deletion takes place at the front part and the insertions takes place at the rear part. So if any of the data structure follows this type of insertion and deletion mechanism, so insertion should always be done at rear end and deletion should always be done at front end. If a data structure follows this type of operations or mechanisms, then we call it as a queue data structure, right? And another name for queue is called as FIFO. FIFO. What do you mean by FIFO? First in, first out. So the first inserted element will be the first outputted element, right? We can also call it as below, no doubt, right? But this particular terminology is not familiar, but the term FIFO is very much familiar in the programming world, right? So if somebody asks you what do you mean by FIFO, you can simply say that, sir, it is a other name for queue. So if anybody asks you what is the definition of queue, then you have to say that it is a linear data structure where insertions takes place at one end and deletions takes place at the other end, right? So that's all about the linear data structure, and let us discuss the other part, which is called as the non-linear data structure. According to the definition of non-linear data structure, the name itself is saying that the operations that you perform on this data structure will be in a non-sequential fashion. So that is the reason why we call them as non-linear data structure, right? So the data items are not arranged in the sequential fashion. Similarly, the data items are not stored on the sequential fashion. They are not accessed in a sequential fashion. They are not deleted in a sequential fashion. So such type of data structures are called as non-linear data structures. Then you might get a question that if they are not following the sequential fashion, in what fashion the elements are inserted, in what fashion the elements are deleted. It depends on the data structure, right? So if you consider the tree data structure, right? If you consider the trees, they follow a relationship called as hierarchical relationship. Hierarchical means level by level, level by level. So there are different levels. Some set of elements will be at one level, another set of elements will be at another level, similarly another set at another level. So this is called as level by level fashion, and we can also call it as hierarchical. Right. So they follow some different mechanism or different structure other than the sequential structure. Those type of data structures are called as non-linear data. So there are only two examples we will discuss.
Voice break out.
Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So there are only two data structures or two examples we consider for non-linear data structures. That is trees and graphs. Right. Trees are used to represent the data that has some hierarchical relationship. We have mentioned earlier that hierarchical relationship is nothing but level by level relationship, right? So if the elements follow the hierarchical relationship, then that type of data structure comes under the category of trees, right? And the second example that we can give for the nonlinear data structure is graph, right? So the trees and graphs almost look similar, but there are a lot of differences that we'll discuss when we go through the concepts of trees and graphs, right? So in graphs, they will also follow some relationship, but not the hierarchical, right? If they follow the hierarchical relationship, they means the elements. If the elements in the data structure follow the hierarchical relationship, then we call them as trees. And if they follow the relationship that is not necessarily the hierarchical, right? That is not necessarily the hierarchical. That type of data structures are called as graphs, right? So these graphs, we will make use of these particular graphs in our daily life very frequently, right? For example, if you take a communication network, right? For example, you take internet. Internet is nothing but network of networks, right? So the number of computers are connected throughout the world, right? Like this. So this particular structure is called as graph. So we will make use of these graphs in our daily life for the communication networks. Similarly, in order to explain the airline routes, similarly, if you want to explain the flow charts, all these things they make use of the graph data structure. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
So giving a brief
Yes, sir.
on this classification of data
Yes,
structures.
sir.
The data structures are broadly classified into two categories: linear data structure and nonlinear data structure. If the elements follow the linear fashion on the sequential order while insertion and deletion or while accessing the elements, those category of data structures are called as linear data structures. Examples of linear data structures are arrays, linked lists, stacks, and queues. And the nonlinear data structures are the data structures where the elements do not follow the sequential order. They may follow the hierarchical order or they may follow some other order, but they are not going to follow the sequential order. Therefore, these comes under the category of non-linear data structure. Examples of non-linear data structures are trees and graphs. Trees follow the hierarchical relationship, but graphs, they neither follow the hierarchical relation. They may follow the hierarchical relationship. We cannot say that graphs does not follow the hierarchical relationship. They may follow the hierarchical relationship, but there may exist some other relationship other than the hierarchical and sequential. So such type of data structures are called as non-linear graphs, right? And they come under the category of non-linear data structure. So this is the end of the classification of data structure. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
So now we are moving into one more topic. Why do we require the data structures? Why we are always saying the importance of data structures? Uh, why we are saying that the data structures is a very important subject and it plays very vital role in the software development also. Why it is required? All these things we'll discuss, right? And what is the efficiency of data structure? That we will discuss in the next session, right? So this particular slide shows you the need for the data structure. Why do you require a good data structure? What is the difference? What makes a difference for a good data structure and a bad data structure? Right. That we will discuss in this particular slide. So coming to the need for the data structure, we have powerful computers nowadays. Right. Powerful computers means we can develop the more complex applications. What do you mean by complex applications? The complex applications require or they demand more calculations. Whenever we have more number of calculations to be done, then those type of applications are called as complex applications. Right. So whenever we want to write these apps that consist or that demand more calculations, we have to write efficient programs. Complex applications require efficient programs to be written by the programmer or by the developer, right? So the programmer role comes here. As a good programmer, you should always select or you should always organize the data in the main memory very effectively or very effectively, right? So we know what we mean by organization of data. What do you mean by organization of data? It is nothing but data structure. It is nothing but data structure. Right? So whenever you want to write an efficient program, you should organize the data efficiently. Whenever you want to organize the data efficiently, then as a programmer, you have to select a well-suited data structure for that particular application. Right? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we have more powerful computers nowadays, and by using more powerful computers, you can develop complex applications which require more number of calculations. In order to do that thing, you have to write efficient programs. In order to write an efficient program, you have to effectively utilize or you have to effectively organize the data. So organization of data is nothing but data structure. So in order to effectively or efficiently organize the data, you should select a best data structure. So that is the role of programmer. Right. Now we'll see what happens if we don't select a data structure, effective data structure or efficient data structure. Right. So as a programmer, it is your duty or it is your responsibility to select a good data structure. Right. What happens if the programmer or the developer fails to select a good data structure means you will end up in a
Voice
program.
break అవుతుంది సార్.
Is it clear now?
No, sir.
Now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So as a programmer or as a developer, it is your responsibility to select or to write the efficient programs. But I tell you that in order to write the efficient programs, you have to select the best data set. So if you
Sir,
fail
again,
to,
it's getting break.
మన నెట్ అంతా బాగానే ఉందా, మరి బ్రేక్ ఎందుకు వస్తుందో అర్థం కాదు. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. So if the programmer fails to select a good data structure, you will end up in writing a program that will run for many days. Right. Let us take a simple example. Let us take a simple example of unordered arrays and ordered arrays. What do you mean by unordered array and ordered array of records? Can anybody give a wild guess of what do you mean by ordered and unordered?
Ordered ante arranged, sir. Unordered means it is not arranged.
Arranged in what
Arranged
manner?
in sequential order.
Sequential and
It's not sequential. Not sequential. So
ఎలా ఎలిమెంట్స్ సార్ట్ చేస్తే సార్ట్ లో
Super.
సార్ట్
Super. Right.
అయి ఉంటే అది
So elements. if they
Element
are-
can access another element. That is ordered, sir.
No. That is not ordered. Ordering. Right. Sorted. What Ajay has told is correct. Right. So if we arrange the elements in the sorted order, sorting means either in the ascending order or descending order. This is the sorting order. We will consider sorting order only for the numeric digits. But if you consider the strings, what is that order we are following? What do you mean by ordering of strings?
ఆస్కీ వాల్యూస్ సార్ క్యాపిటల్ 65 కాబట్టి అది ఉండదు.
No, it's not ASCII values. Right. When we consider the strings and when I say that you have to arrange it in order. For example, I give 3 strings, Ajay, Chandu and Mallika. I asked you to arrange them in order. How do you do? Who will come first?
things, sir.
Who will come first? Is it Ajay?
Alphabetical order, sir.
Alphabetical order, right? So when we consider the strings, we have to arrange the elements in the alphabetical order. Is it right or not?
ఎస్ సార్
Right. So let us take an example, real time example. Everybody is using the mobile phones. Is it right or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. And you have contact list. You have some 1,000 contacts. Right. Assume that you have 1,000 contacts. 1,000 friends and you have 1,000 contacts. And assume that your mobile phone, will compare 2 mobile phones with contact list. One mobile phone, X mobile phone, is arranging all the contacts in the sorted order, and the Y mobile phone is not arranging it in the sorted order. So it will simply use an array and it will it will insert the elements at the end of the array. Let us assume. So what is mobile X is doing? It is taking the input or it is taking the name from the user and it automatically arranges that name in the alphabetical order. And mobile Y is not arranging the names in the sorting order or alphabetical order. It will simply take the input from the user and it will put it as the last item in the array. Right. Now let us consider a case where you have 1,000 contacts. You have 1,000 contacts. And now you have added one more contact, 1,001. You have added one more contact, 1,001. And let us assume that his name is some Anil. Right. What happens for this Anil? Where this Anil is stored in case of X brand and in case of Y brand? Where this Anil is stored in case of X brand?
Last, sir.
No, Y is not following the order. This is X brand is following the ordered array, and this Y is following the unordered array. Ordered means it will arrange it in the alphabetical order. Unordered means it will just add it to the end of the list. That is the difference between the ordered and unordered. Right. Now, if Anil is added as the 1001 contact, what happens to this Anil? Where this Anil is added in the X brand and where this Anil is added in the Y brand? Any guess here?
X brand లో టాప్ వచ్చేస్తుంది సార్, Y లో అక్కడే ఉండిపోతుంది 1000.
So assume that there are some 30 records. Assume that there are some 30 records, right? 30 records before Anil. So how many records are there before Anil? 30 records. And this Anil is added as the 31st record. Right? Even though you are adding it as the 1001th record, but the X brand is having the capability of sorting the given names in the alphabetical order. So before Anil, there are 30 records, and assume that the Anil has been added as the 31st record. But let us go into the case of Y brand. Where this Anil is added, we have 1000 contacts, and whatever new contact that is taken by this mobile, it will add it as the last record. So that Anil is added as 1001th record. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
So in case of X brand, which follows the ordered array of records, Anil is added as the 31st record. And in case of Y brand, which does not follow the ordered or which follows the unordered array of records, the Anil is added, Anil contact is added as 1001th record. Right. Now let us go for one operation. What are the famous operations, or what are the standard operations we have discussed earlier? For any data structure, what are the standard operations?
Insertion, deletion, and accessing.
Deletion and
Insertion, deletion, accessing, search, finding minimum, finding max. All these are operations, but basically we will consider insertion, deletion, and search. Is it okay? Now let us implement search operation on this ordered X brand and Y brand, and assume that searching one record takes 1 millisecond. Searching one record, traversing of one record takes 1 millisecond. Now let us consider a search operation on brand X. I am going to search Anil. So how many operations that will take? How many comparison operations you have to take? How many comparison operations you have to make, Amma?
31.
31, right? So initially I start with the 0th element or the first element. I compare this Anil with this, the text which is not equal, and then I move to the second element, and then I move to the third element. Like that, I have to make how many comparisons? 30 comparisons. And in the 31st comparison, I have found my element. Anil has been found, right? So totally in this ordered array, I have to make 31 comparison operations. To the Y brand, where it is using the unordered array of records. How many comparisons I have to perform to search for this Anil?
1001.
1001, right? Now let us compare the time. For X brand, how much time is required to search Anil?
31 milliseconds.
One comparison, 1 millisecond. 31 comparisons, 31 milliseconds. Right. And what happens for the search operation of Anil in Y brand? It is 1001 milliseconds. Right. So for a simple search operation, the ordered array of records, it is giving the record in 31 milliseconds. The same record, if it does not follow the ordered array of records, it is giving the result in 1001 milliseconds. Right. So there is a lot of difference in the time for executing this search operation. In the first brand, that is X brand, the search operation has been completed in just 31 milliseconds, and the Y brand is taking 1001 milliseconds. Assume this case which consists of some millions and trillions of records. So there will be a lot of difference in the execution time, right? That is the reason why this is a simple example which performs the efficient set operation. So whenever you arrange the elements in the alphabetical order, or whenever you take the ordered array of records, then the search operation will be performed efficiently when compared to that of unordered array of records, right? So that is the reason why the choice of data structure and algorithm can make the difference between the program running in few seconds or many days. So if the programmer selects a good data structure, he will end up in writing a program that will execute or that will complete its task in just few seconds. But if the same program is written by selecting a bad data structure, the same program will execute for many days or many hours it will take, right? So that is the importance of data structure. Selection of a very good data structure is the whole responsibility of the programmer. So the programmer has to select a good data structure to write a program, to write an efficient program. Efficient program means the program executes in a less time or completes its task in a less time, right? So this is how the data structure is related to algorithm, how the data structure is related to execution time, how the data structure plays very important role in writing an algorithm and writing an efficient program. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Yes, sir. How do you select the efficiency of the data structure? Right. Each data structure has its costs and benefits. Right. Every data structure, there are a lot of data structures that are available. Right. We'll see all these data structures and we'll see a lot of algorithms also, and we'll find out the efficiency of each and every algorithm. Right. So every data structure will have its own pros and cons. It will have its own costs and benefits. Right. And if somebody asks you what is the best data structure we have, if somebody questions you like this, what is the best data structure we have all over, means you cannot give a straightforward answer that this particular data structure is best, right? Why? Because the data structure efficiency depends on the operation which you are performing. So for some operations, right, for example, you take the search operation which you have discussed in the earlier example. Search operation can be performed very well in case of ordered arrays rather than the unordered arrays. But if you consider the deletion operation, it may not perform well. The ordered array may not perform well when considered to that of unordered array. So that's the reason why there is no specific data structure that performs well in all the situations. Right. That is the reason why you cannot give a simple answer that this is the perfect data structure which suits for every operation, right? So it depends on the operation, right? So you cannot claim that one particular data structure is better in all the situations. Any situations lo ఒకటే data structure best avudama. So if you perform the insertion operation, one data structure may perform well when compared to that of other data structure. But if you consider the same data structure, it may perform very poor. Very poor performance may be given by that data structure if you consider the other operation, right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
similar to that of data algorithms, the data structure also requires the space for each data item, and it also requires the time to perform each basic operation. Right? Similar to that of algorithms, we have two terms that are related to the algorithms, which gives the efficiency of the algorithm. That is the space complexity and time complexity. Similar to that of, we can also have the space for each data item in the data structure and the time to perform each basic operation, which is nothing but time complexity. Right? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes,
if
sir.
I say that a solution, if you have found a solution for a particular task, you can say that the solution is efficient. When you can say that you got an efficient solution, you can say it whenever the solution that you found is efficient, only if and only if it solves the problem within its resource constraints. What do you mean by resource constraints? Can you give me some examples of the resources that are used by the data structures? What are the resources for the data structure? Anybody please respond. What are the resources for a data structure?
Pointers and
No. I am asking you the resources. Resources. For example, if I want to take an online class, what are the resources I should have?
Name of the data type,
No.
collection of data.
The answer lies in the same slide itself.
Time.
Space and time, sir.
Super. Right. So the resources for the data structure are nothing but the space and time. Space is required to store the data items, and time is required to perform, or the time taken by each and every operation. Right. So the space and time are the resources that are utilized by the data structure. So if you have found a solution and you want to claim it as an efficient solution, you should find out that your data structure solves the problem within the particular resource constraints. Right? You have limited space, you have limited time, and those are called as resource constraints. And if you write a solution such that it meets the resource constraints, then it is called as an efficient solution. Is it clear? And how you can write the efficient solution? How you can write, how you can give the efficient algorithm? How you can write the efficient algorithm? This is last term.
By selecting the required data.
No, you can give the efficient solution for the complex task only by selecting a good data structure. That is what we have discussed in the earlier slide. What is the need for the data structure? So complex applications require complex calculations. In order to write complex applications, you have to organize the data efficiently. Organization of data efficiently means nothing but you have to select a best data structure. So in order to write an efficient solution, you should carefully select the best data structure. In order to select the best data structure, you should carefully analyze the problem characteristics. Right? All these things you don't require, but remember that data structure plays very important role in writing the efficient programs. And who is responsible for selecting the data structures?
Programmer.
Programmer. What happens if the programmer selects a bad data structure?
Efficiency may not be efficient, sir.
So the solution that is given by the programmer may not be efficient. That means he will end up in writing a program that runs for many hours or many days also. Right? So that is the importance of data structure, right? So this is how we select a data structure. First thing is you have to analyze the problem carefully, and then you have to determine the basic operations, and then you select the data structure that meets those requirements. So this is what how do you select a best data structure, right? You have to carefully analyze the problem, and then you have to determine the basic operations, and you just again analyze the operations that can be performed on the data structure, and then you select the best data structure based upon your domain knowledge. Domain knowledge is very important, right? That is the reason why you have to study well in you have to go deep into the data structures concept, right? This is life of a CSC student. This is for damn sure, right? So you practice more and more programs, and you try to implement or try to write more and more programs on your own. That is how you can develop the logic, right? Programming logic cannot be embedded into your minds. This is for sure, right? As a instructor, as a mentor, I can give you the theoretical knowledge, or I can give some inputs in the programming, but the logic which you implement should be from your minds only, right? So you practice more and more programs, and then you can get good programming language. Once you develop the programming language, this logic can be applied to any programming language. Forget about the background. That means forget about the language which you are going to use, whether you want going to use the C programming language or C++ or Java or Python or some X, Y, Z, nobody bothers, right? But building the logic, programming logic is very important. That will be done only through practice, right? So I will end up this session with one particular quotation or one particular saying that is given by Linus Torvalds. Who is this Linus Torvalds? Can anybody give a wild guess of who is this Linus Torvalds?
Linux operating system.
Yes, the Linux operating system was developed by Linus Torvalds, right? And he has given a very good statement that simply tells the importance of the data structures, right? He is just giving a difference between a bad programmer and a good programmer, right? So a bad programmer always considers his code, but a good programmer, he always concentrates his data structure, right? So what is Linus Torvalds is trying to tell us is, he is just giving the difference between a bad programmer and a good programmer. He is saying that a bad programmer always concentrates on his code, but a good programmer concentrates on his data structure, right? For example, assume that there are two people, some X and Y, right? And a task P1 is given to both of them. Assume that as X, he doesn't bother about the data structure, what data structure should be used, and all these things he's not bothering, right? Whenever task is given to X and Y, X started his coding. He started his coding, right? But why he didn't start his coding? He spends most of his time in selecting the data structure. Once he has selected the data structure, he has written a code by using this best data structure, right? But X, what he is doing, he is not concentrating on data structure. Selection of data structure is not that important to X. Whenever a task is given, he just starts his coding, right? So both of them has ended up in writing program P1 and P2. If you consider the efficiency of P1 and P2, which one will be best? The program P2 will end up in the efficient solution. Why? Because the Y programmer has selected a best data structure. And in the previous slides, we have given the importance of data structure. The selection of good data structure will end up in writing a program that will execute in few seconds, right? So Linus Torvalds is trying to say this thing, right? So selection of data structure is a very important task that you should perform while or before writing the program, right? So yeah, if you want to become a good programmer, you should always concentrate on selecting the data structures. Not you don't try to write the code blindly, right? So you just analyze the problem, whether you are going to perform the set operation or insertion or deletion, and then you apply the domain knowledge, and then you select the best data structure, and then you write the program. Definitely you will end up in a program or efficient solution, right? So that is the importance of data structures. Is it clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this
Yes,
is the
sir.
end of the importance of data structure. In today's class, we have discussed the classification of data structure, which is classified into two categories, linear and non-linear. Example, linear means operations are performed in a linear fashion or sequential fashion. Examples of linear data structures are arrays, linked lists, stacks, and queues. Non-linear data structure means it does not follow the sequential order. Examples are trees and grass. And after that, we have gone through the importance of data structures. Why data structures are important? With an example of unordered array of records and ordered array of records. Right. This is the end of session. Thank you, one and all.